I have a choice. We all have a choice. I can hold on to that this was done to me and that was bad, or this was nasty, it was evil, or whatever. I can choose to hold on to that. But where does that get me? Or I can choose to explore the greater journey that created for me and see the bigger picture, see the infiniteness of it. And that has allowed me to collapse the duality of it into unity, to the place where I now have love, compassion, empathy, gratitude, and appreciation, which are the synthesized emotions of the highest frequencies.
Welcome to Changing the Channel with Joe Garner, a show about shifting our individual and collective beliefs on what is possible for the future of humanity. As our understanding of how our reality continues to shift, we are at a point of reunification between science and spirituality. What does the world look like when we break free from the generational trauma that has kept most humans playing small for thousands of years and step into our full power as the co-creators of this reality? I always ask that you keep an open mind with this podcast. Ask yourself what resonates with my truth at this time and what does not. Respect your intuition, but see if you can get through the whole show, because there might be that little nugget buried deep in the conversation that unlocks something for you. Welcome back to Changing the Channel. I have a beautiful soul today. Her name is Judy Vee. She's an activator and miracle maker who is helping people live their iconic and fullest life. So welcome to the show, Judy. Thanks for joining me today.
Thank you so much, Joe. I'm so excited about this conversation. And bizarrely, as the way this conversation is going to go, we're going to be talking a little about interference. And bizarrely, I have Microsoft updates pinging on my phone, on my laptop here, and I'm on an Apple. I don't even have Microsoft. It's bizarre how these things happen.
It is, yeah. Just a little bit of interference, and for those who are listening at home, nothing to worry about. It's just a little noise in the background. So let's tune in to the conversation and really start to feel from the heart about what we're getting into. So share with us a little bit about who Judy Vee is today and what is setting your soul on fire right now.
Oh, what is setting my soul on fire is stepping into the massiveness of our capacity as human beings. It is every single day just blowing my mind what we are capable of. And that's what's lighting my fire. Even like today, I'm now, I'm looking at working with hospitals, orphanages, old age homes, prisons, to share what I do for the collective. That's what's lighting me up right now.
Beautiful. And you do that both with clients and with now these larger organizations. Is that a new thing for you?
It is, because one of the things I've realized is for years now I've worked with one-on-one and small groups, but I'm working with larger and larger groups. And now I know I've got awareness that I can work with huge numbers at the same time, clearing energy, clearing energetic interference, clearing all sorts of things, which we can go into. But we've all got that capacity when we clear ourselves, connect to our authentic infinite being in the infinite realms, and move from that place. We all have that capacity. It's incredible.
Right. How did you connect with that capacity? What was the journey for you to connect to your infiniteness that you're capable of accessing?
For me, it goes back a long way, and maybe a trigger warning for some, but it goes back a long, long way. When I was young, I was locked up from the age of about 3, isolated from society, abused, tortured, in every aspect that you can imagine. It was horrendous. And it went on until I escaped in my early 20s. But when I was, and I literally during those years growing up, no education, no interaction with society at all. And there were times when I was living purely because my heart beats and I just felt like a piece of meat. That was it. There was nothing. I was a shell. And it just got so bad that at nighttime I would beg for my heart to stop beating. It didn't. And then what transpired was a series of very powerful, potent supernatural experiences. And the one was the life changer for me. The one that was like, I had smaller ones and then the big one. And I was about 15 years old. And I remember walking into the bathroom after a night of the most horrendous torture. It's indescribable how bad the torture was at times. And this was a particularly bad one. And I walked into the bathroom and I walked over to the hand basin and then looked in the mirror. And it was the first time I remember actually consciously seeing myself. And as I said, I was about 15. And I looked beyond the bruises on my face and my skin and everything. And I looked beyond all that. And I looked into my eyes. It was almost like something was reaching into my core and grabbed something in my solar plexus. And for many years after that, I called it my something. I didn't know what it was. And in that moment of connection, I was transported what felt like out of my body. And I was outside. It was a cold morning in Dublin in Ireland. It was gray. It was November. There was drizzle. And I just remember being outside and totally in awe, not scared, not afraid, totally in awe. And just having this experience of oneness, one with the trees, one with the rain on the windows, one with the birds, one with I think there was grass being cut in the distance, one with everything. This oneness was just the most powerful, potent sensation. And then being surrounded by something that I had no idea what it was, but it was just beautiful. To this day, I've still not found words that can articulate it and do it justice. But it was just the most potently powerful sensation, which I later experienced as love. It was divine love. And in that moment, I looked up and I saw my body still looking in the mirror. And in that moment, the massiveness, the magnitude of this love was so potent. I just felt this whoosh onto me, and it healed me for everything I had been through, was going through, and was yet to go through. And I saw the primordial field. I saw where we're all from. I saw the everythingness of it all. I saw the truth of it all. I saw that we are just like the most tiniest little fragments of the truth of who we are in this, what I call the trilogy of being, body, being, and planet that makes up this physical form. It was just the most extraordinary. And I knew in that moment, I knew I'd escape. I knew that I could create anything. There was nothing that this body couldn't create, this trilogy of being couldn't create. And I planted 3 seeds of love. And I used the word luxury at the time, but now I understand it to be prosperity. I didn't even know that word existed. Prosperity and adventure. And my whole life has been that. And it's been an evolution to get to this point. And about 2 years ago, the truth of what I'm able to do, having seen that, came very clear to me. And I've been working on that with people to open up that channel for them, for themselves, so they connect to their authentic being. And that's what we're here for, to be the authentic expression of our infinite being, of our higher self, of our divine.
Finally, a place for listeners to gather and share. Join the Ascension Update Substack for messages and updates from our brothers and sisters helping with the Ascension, articles on the future of humanity, and a Q&A where you can ask my guides anything you would like. This is the hub for everything Ascension related. Click the link in the show notes or go to joegarner.substack.com to stay at the leading edge of this movement. And now, back to the show. Now, from your perspective, is this is why we're here at this point in this time on the evolution of humanity, or is this, the goal for everyone always in an incarnated as an incarnated being?
The way I see it is that all of us come from different dimensions, and we're here all the time to evolve dimensionally through this experience. That it's not about what we create here, it's who we become in this experience that allows us to become in the next experience, the next evolution. So and that's what it's all about. And it's about who we are. And that is the contribution we make to humanity that elevates consciousness dimensionally, frequencies, for everybody. It's not about what you do or how you do it. It's who you are. That is the essence of it all.
Right. And do you help people I assume you help people bring out who they are meant to be, right? Who is that individual that at a soul level or an oversoul level or even higher up into the 7th, 8th, 9th dimensions, who did you come here to be? And then,
Yeah.
obviously we go through this period where we're um indoctrinated into the current system that is humanity at the point that you are entering into humanity. And then it's the journey to get back to who you truly are. Is that kind of how you see it?
Yes, I see that the soul comes here with a journey, but this planet is heavily interfered with energetically, for many reasons and on many different levels, in many different ways. All right, and some call it matrix, and they're beyond the matrix. There's a lot more different forms of interference as well. And within the matrix, there's a lot of different forms of interference. Plus, you've got the programming, the conditioning, and all of the false gods, false new age even stuff that's going on, that's creating more and more energetic interference and separating us from connecting to our true self. So what I do is I clear energetically any of the programming and conditioning, any of the interference that then it allows what I call the trilogy of being to harmonize. I do not, in my model of the world, I do not embody, I do not agree, I do not buy into the construct of ego. I feel it's a very corrupted construct, and it creates more separation. For me, it's about the trilogy of being, body, being, and planet. And we are anatomically designed to connect, communicate, and create from our infinite being. We can do that with a harmonized trilogy of being. The more interference, programming, conditioning, beliefs, limiting beliefs, points of view, all the embodied interference and emotional perceptions that are embodied, the more that we have, the more we have a corrupted trilogy of being. And the more we seek outside of ourselves for everything, and the more we are living and existing from the oldest brain, which is the brain of survival, which is based on lack. And it's based on desire as well, because to desire is to lack. And that oldest brain is all about that. Now, when we harmonize the trilogy of being, body, being, and planet, now we are open to you having body, because body is the lead, not the being. Body is the lead. The body is the part of us that knows, that's connected, most closely connected to our oversoul, to source, to divine, to our infinite realms. And when we respect that, understand that, harmonize the trilogy being, and use body to communicate, what happens is body moves, right? Body moves on the awareness from the infinite realms. And when body moves, it does the thing, or it says the thing, or it thinks that whatever it is that move is, that is 100% authentic projection of our infinite being. Only then does it go to the brain. And the part of the brain that it activates that moment in time is the newest part of our brain, the telencephalon. And that is the full brain, the brain that has the foresight, the insight. And in that, there's intuition. A lot of people, from my research and my study, my understanding of the way we work is a lot of people think about intuition in terms of spiritual realms. It's not. It's actually chemically created awareness. All right, based on activating the newest part of our brain, the full brain. And when you marry moving on awareness with what happens when you use the newest part of your brain, activates intuition, that's when we create magic and miracles in life. That's when we activate that which is apparently impossible and create at hyperspeed, collapsing the time between the thought and the effect, the thought and the experience, and the cause and the effect. That's how I see it. And that's what I work with people to connect to get to that point of creation. And it's all about who you are, being your authentic projection. And anything that's not that, clearing it, not buying into it, just clearing it.
Yeah, yeah, it's the idea of living through your being, right? Allowing the infinite universe to take hold of your body and allow it to make what it needs to do what it needs to do, and not again, like intuition, the subconscious mind, anywhere from 10,000 to a million times more powerful than the conscious mind, right? And when you allow that intelligence, that the flow of information to come through the subconscious mind, to allow the body to take over, to be the one that is in control and not the thinking mind, the lower
Yeah.
thinking mind,
Yeah.
the egoic mind, as a lot of people put that,
Yeah.
that is when you start to become this powerful being, the being that you were meant to be.
Yeah. It's like, it's when you think about it, every single point of view, just to put it really, just to bring it right down to the most simple way of experiencing it or seeing it. When you think about a fixed point of view, for example, I put my hand on a hot stove, my hand's going to burn. That's a fixed point of view, right? Oh, we have to align and agree with that. And we have to justify that. And we have to support that. It's a fixed point of view, right? So now all of a sudden your possibilities are limited. They're honed in to that one outcome. Put my hand on a hot stove, it's going to burn, right? This is not something I would suggest anyone try until you've mastered harmonizing trilogy of being, right? But when you let go of the point of view that I put my hand on a hot stove, you let go of that, and instead you're open to all possibilities. It's possible I put my hand on a hot stove and it doesn't burn, and you believe that, that's what'll happen.
It becomes your reality.
It becomes your reality. And just to bring it down to the simplest thing, this is why there is nothing we cannot do, achieve, create. Or it might be difficult to grow wings, for example, like to break the laws of the universe. Maybe, I don't know. I haven't tried it yet, but everything else, anything, miracles are possible. We can create not just metaphorically, but physically. Physically, we can create miracles in physical world, not just metaphorically, not just energetically, but physically as well.
Now, does it feel like there has to be not only an individual belief, but when there's an individual who has that belief that exists in a matrix or in a thought world that does not believe that to be true, they have to overcome. They have to bring so much energy into their physical body to overcome that non-belief of everybody else, the collective non-belief. So from my perspective, as more and more people start to understand this idea and start to believe in these newer ideas, this now becomes easier for people to start to manifest into the physical world. I'd love to hear your perspective on that.
See, my model of the world is that one, we are energy, right? We are primarily, first and foremost, we are energy. Two, my first language is awareness. It's not English. My first language is awareness. It's what awareness am I getting? What is the, and so it's about energetically being open to allow that awareness to come through. And it's not about thinking. I never move on thinking. I never, ever, I just move. Whatever my body is directed, that's what it does. I never make decisions on my brain. I never do anything like that. It's all from the infinite realms. Now, in order to be able to be in a position to do that, we have to start losing attachment to all points of view, losing attachment to perceptions and judgments, and we're losing attachment to anything that keeps us in duality. Anything that keeps us in duality is low vibrational and so far away from being open to allowing yourself to move from awareness. We're always getting awareness, always. The same as we're always manifesting, always. We're always getting the awareness, but we're not allowing it. We're not allowing it because we have fixed points of view. We've got perceptions. It's like, for example, to take it again to an extreme. For me, what I learned to love unconditionally everything that I experienced and everybody involved in that experience. And that's what it takes. It takes that. It's like, it's that for me, I have a choice. We all have a choice. I can hold on to that that this was done to me and that was bad, or this was nasty, it was evil, or whatever. I can choose to hold on to that. But where does that get me? Or I can choose to explore the greater journey that created for me and see the bigger picture, see the infiniteness of it. And that has allowed me to collapse the duality of it into unity, to the place where I now have love, compassion, empathy, gratitude, and appreciation, which are the synthesized emotions of the highest frequencies. And there's no higher frequency than love and truth.
Yeah, that's powerful. And what was that experience like for you? How did that journey take place? I mean, for people who are thinking, obviously you have a very difficult story, probably more difficult than most people's experience on this physical plane. You know, how did you get to that point? And what were maybe just one or two tips that you can give to people as they go through this experience?
Well, for me, it was having had that experience, something unlocked for me. So I was really blessed with that, right? And we do not have to go to the end of the line, end of the rope, end of the cliff, or anything like that to connect to that level. But I now understand why it happened to me. It was complete, total, utter surrender. Okay. What is it? Just complete surrender. And what happened is I allowed. And that's what I had a mystical experience that allowed me to see it. So that unlocked something. So for many years, I lived in that energy and I moved on awareness. I did escape. And against all odds, that makes no logical sense, I got a job earning almost 6 figures within a week of escaping. Exactly the job that I foresaw. It took 6 years for me to escape. But during that time, the irony is that I was in inner peace. There was no longer just a piece of me living because my heart beat. I was in inner peace and joy. I was connected to something, and I knew that nothing in this mortal realm could harm me, damage me, kill me, make me suffer. Only me. Nothing could, because nothing could touch my soul. Nothing could touch my infiniteness, my eternal being. And when I escaped, I moved on awareness. And many years after I escaped, I had an awareness to go back to Ireland. I'd now lived in South Africa. I was creating magic. I was creating amazing businesses. I was making so much money. There was nothing I couldn't do. I represented South Africa at World Championships in diving from nothing, and went back to Ireland, had reported the case. My father was one of them, and reported it. And I went to the head office of the police in Dublin and said, I've got to report this. And they said, no, there's too many years have passed, whatever. They phoned me the next day and said, come in. It's possible. And one thing led to another. Next thing, it was in the High Court of Ireland. And I had it again. The awareness was have it held publicly. It had never been done anywhere in the world before. Have it held publicly. The case was reported on. He got 54 years for what the judge said was the worst case ever to come before the courts of Ireland. But none of that was about revenge. None of it was about getting back. None of it was that. I did not understand why I was being guided to do this. No idea. I was a happy life in South Africa. Why was I guiding to do this? I didn't understand it. I was living with my partner, who I'm now married with 23 years, and life was good. The next thing, after a few years of him being in prison, I get a call to say he's dying. He's now being transferred to a hospice. This is just one experience, right, of this magic. And he's been transferred. And I knew the moment I hung up from that phone call from the police in Ireland, turned to Tiny, my husband, and I said, we've got to go to Ireland. I don't know why. I had no idea. He didn't understand, but he had learned by now not to question. Right? So we got to Ireland, and my plan was that we both would go in and see him, because I felt my human felt very nervous to go and see him. But we got there, and we were told, no, he won't see Tiny, he'll only see me alone. And the moment I walked in the room to see him and he stood up in front of me, it all became clear. I completely understood the whole thing. The first words out of my mouth was, thank you, Dad, I love you. And I hugged him. I had no idea. And in that moment, it was literally like, it was like a supernatural experience again happening in that moment. All I saw was beauty, love, perfection, and I spoke to his soul.
Hmm.
I spoke to his soul, and it was the most beautiful thing. Now, his human responded to me, but that's beside the point. That doesn't matter. It was his human that responded, but I spoke to his soul. Because here we make so much mean in the physical realm, but it's all an illusion.
Right.
It's all an illusion. We can decide to be self-righteous about it and stand for our rights and all this sort of stuff, or we can connect to a higher meaning, higher realms. And that was the greatest gift that my infinite being, my infinite guidance ever gave me, because since then I totally experienced, and it was almost like full circle. I understand that it's just not about what we do to each other, what we say to each other and how we react. But it's meaningless.
Mm-hmm.
It's who we are. That's what matters.
Right. Yeah. In the 3D and the separation consciousness, we're all, Dolores Cannon puts it this way: we're all basically playing our unique roles to help teach each other different lessons. We sign up for soul contracts with each other to play different roles for each other, to be that mean partner, or that disrespectful partner, or that person that's gonna get us to remember who we truly are, to learn the lessons that we're here to experience. And I love that you were able to get past. I mean, just, I can't even imagine. I don't know a thousandth of the story that you went through up until you were 22, 23 years old. But to give that person forgiveness at at a soul level, like that just, it shows how evolved you had become at that point, how connected you were to your infinite self, and how much change you had made during that time. And it's just amazing. It's inspiring to hear that from somebody, and to have those experiences with you.
Can I just go back to what you just said? Is that okay? Just about when you mentioned forgiveness, and I think this is a really important part to unpack, if that's okay, Joe.
Yeah.
For me, it's not about forgiveness, because forgiveness is very much a construct of this matrix. For me, it was love. It was compassion. It was empathy. His soul agreed to walk this path for me. That deserves gratitude. That deserves compassion. For me, the construct of forgiveness means I forgive you. I'm on a pedestal. You're in a pit. I forgive you for what you did. There's duality in that. So for me, it's about, again, moving beyond the physical realms into the energetic realms and seeing the truth. And in that truth, there's only unity. There's no pedestal, no pit. There's no forgiveness required, no apology needed. So that is sort of that's how I see it.
No, I appreciate that reframe, because I mean, the word I meant was gratitude for sure.
Yeah.
And then forgiveness just comes out of
it's his habit. Yeah.
The habit that I have, right?
Yeah.
Of living in duality for 35 years and being conscious for only a few of those years.
Yes.
So I appreciate the reframe, and yes, certainly the word is gratitude for that difficult role, because how difficult was it for him to play that role as well at a soul level, to be an abuser? I can't even imagine.
To have done the things that he did, unspeakable in this 3D world. For him to have been able to do that, I cannot. For him to have agreed to do that, I cannot begin to fathom. So for that, he opened me up to do this, to what I do. Where now today, I'm now starting to work with hospitals, orphanages, prisons, elderly homes, in order to clear energetic interference, for vitality, for health, for joy, for bliss, for freedom, for us to live in the authentic expression of our infinite being.
Right. Now let's talk a little bit about the evolution that's happening on the planet. And this goes with us all awakening to our infinite beingness, us allowing, from a Christian standpoint, the Christ energy to flow through us, right? these higher dimensional energies coming and flowing through more and more and more humans. So from your perspective, what is happening on the planet right now as far as the ascension or the raising of consciousness, or just whatever term that you typically use? And where is it moving us towards? What do the next couple of years start to look like from your perspective?
It's interesting. We're in a dimensional shift. That's how I see it, right? That's how I see it. And when I spoke about earlier that this physical form is body, being, and planet, we are of the planet, right? As we shift dimensionally, the planet shifts with us, because we're one with the planet. And
Is that vice versa as well? If the planet shifts, we also shift with it?
yes, yeah.
Yeah.
Right. It's interfered with, we're interfered with. It shifts energetically, we shift energetically. It's a symbiotic relationship. It's a giving and receiving. It's a 100% symbiotic relationship that we have with the planet, and this is why we get affected so much by stuff that's going on. But to move on from that, we are in the midst. And a few years ago, I started calling it, before I had the extent of the awareness I have now, I started calling it, we're in the midst of a revolution, right? It is, and it feels like a revolution. It's not a revolution for a call to arms. It's a revolution to greater love. All right. There's a shift, energetic shift happening. We're in the midst of a dimensional shift into fifth dimension and beyond. I really do believe that. So what is happening, what we are witnessing, is a lot of repercussions of that. There are those that are understand it, and possibly those who understand it and are completely embodying it and focusing on that and being more of who they are to contribute. By them being more of who they are, they're contributing to that evolution. Maybe they're understanding it because they're the different dimension they've come from. Then you've got people who are trying to understand it and exploring all the different ways, and being directed through interference to new age stuff, false lights, and all that. And then you've got the other side of the of a vast number of people who are feeling threatened by it, and that is because so many people are living in low vibration. As soon as anything there's change, any sense of change, there's an immediate response to protect. So they're trying to protect, trying to keep the norm, trying to stay norm. And that's increasing chaos in our planet. And that's why we're seeing it. We're seeing it play out now. And it's exponentially growing, that chaos, right? It's just, I don't think we've ever experienced the amount of chaos that we have in this past 2-3 decades, and growing. So what will happen in the next few years? There is no stronger frequency than truth and love. That is the ultimate frequency that will win out. I 100% believe that.
Mm-hmm.
When a lot of people say that everything is that's what I believe. There's something that will be important to shift, though. I really believe. And that is, there's a growing number of people moving into like the self-development, self-awareness, increasing consciousness. But there's also a lot of interference there, and a lot of false light there. And there's a lot of people talking about everything is love, everything is light. And you hear that so much in the whole self-development field right now. And I did for a long time sort of buy into that as well, but it's not. It's not. This was a big thing for me. 18 months ago, I was inches from death, and literally inches from death 18 months ago. And it came out of nowhere. It came out of nowhere. And I couldn't understand it. I could not understand it. I'm a nomad. I live anywhere I want. The world is my home. Every country in the world is a room in my home. I'm a free spirit. I'm successful. I have the love of my life. I have a great life. Why was I dying? Why was I literally a breath from death? Why? And I slipped into unconsciousness with that question. And then it came through. I was being told, you don't wake up to the truth. Your job is done here. Now, I said, okay, I'll do it. I'll wake up. Literally, that was the message. And I wake up. I said, I'll find it. I don't know what it is, but I'll find it. And within 6 weeks, I was completely healed. It was a miracle, completely healed. And I found the answer. And that is, and I had to own, and this was a hard thing for me. I had to own that everything is not love in this world.
Right.
Everything is love in the infinite realms, not in the physical realm. And when we understand that it's all about becoming whole from the infinite realms, and more than any love in the physical realm is conditional. Love, true love in the infinite realms, in the higher realms, in the higher frequencies, is divine and unconditional. And that's the love that we are wise to strive towards. And that's what will complete the circle and the cycle of the dimensional shift.
So how do you embody that in the third dimension when most love experienced in this third dimension is, as you say, conditional?
Yeah.
Which I 100% agree.
It's just people to come aware of it, because you can't, people talk about it's all love, but yet they judge money, but yet they judge wealthy people, yet they judge political parties, they judge wars, they judge all of these things. I'm not saying that all war is good. I'm not saying that's not what I'm saying at all. But when you are able to lift yourself out of duality and see all, and not to the point that you're not able to align and agree, resist and react, because you're in the unity of love and compassion for all of it is as it is. When you're able to do that, then you connect to the higher frequencies. And that's where you're able to have the most extraordinary impact. And the ripple effect of who you are then just goes on and on and on. And who you touch, who you shift, who you open up, who you impact, that's our power. It is not living in the material realms of physical love, if that makes sense.
Right. Does it feel like it's almost accessing the balance between the light and the dark, between the pull and the push, the chaos and the order? Is that the place that you open up your infinite love?
Yeah, I think so. Yes. Yeah, there's a very good way of putting it. Yes. Yeah, I like that.
That's been a huge, in my journey, that's been a huge message for me, is that it's the balance. If you want to make this shift in consciousness, this transition to a higher dimension, you have to realize that the lesson of duality is to transcend duality, to get out of the good, bad, the light, dark, the forward, backwards, the up, down.
Yeah.
And it's to find that middle point where you can just be in the duality and still have that center point and be able to access the highest aspects of yourself, while also being in physical duality, while still being here. And that's the key.
It. Yeah.
Navigating it. Exactly. And, I don't know what the number of population that gets to this point that finds their center. And again, the greatest teachers that we've ever known about on this planet, that's where they went. They found their center. They were in the middle of that chaos. Jesus and Buddha, these great teachers found that center point.
Yes.
And that's where they operated out of. It wasn't that they, went all the way to the light and they were shining all this bright light on a dark area. And it wasn't that they, were trying to annihilate the people that were trying to annihilate them, because that's just using hate to fight hate. And that leads down the same road that it got them to. So finding that balance between those two states and then operating from that place of unconditional love does seem like the best place to be.
Yeah, it is. It really is. And then we can talk about it from a very ethereal and esoteric level, but it's every moment by moment choice that we make in who we are every nanosecond of every day. That is, you bring it down to that level. You don't have to wait for the hand of Jesus to strike you in order to make the difference. It's everything we do, nanosecond to nanosecond. It's who we are in the moment. And that's when we start to shift ourselves, elevate ourselves, bring ourselves into a different dimension, living in a different dimension. And that is what has the ripple effect to compound what we are able to create dynamically and also to impact others around us. And this is the power of more and more people who do this will raise the tide for humanity forevermore and complete the cycle.
Exactly. And that's where we are right now. I mean, for the first time ever in humanity, known humanity that people
Modern
will
day
agree
humanity.
to.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
For the first time ever, there's a technology that allows information to be spread around the world almost as fast as telepathy.
Yeah.
You know, obviously there's a delay, but
Yeah.
until we evolve to the point where most humans are able to use their telepathic abilities, the internet is supplanting that and is making this possible. So
Yeah.
people like you can have this gigantic reach without having to physically travel to every part of the planet. Like, you know, I could imagine if Jesus came today and he was trying to touch 8 billion people, how busy his life would be, how difficult it would be to remain centered when you are going and literally meeting 8 billion people in the world. So now each one of us has that energy that him and Buddha, you know, all these great masters had, and we have the ability to share that because we're all connected to that infinite being. We're all connected to the exact same energy that those humans from the
Totally.
past were connected to.
Yeah, totally. So it's like for me, for example, the work I do, I have dozens of clients, right? And I will do a clearing for them and I connect energetically to them. And the impact, the shift is instant,
Mm-hmm.
right? That's telepath, that I'm connecting to their energy, a group of 20, 30, 40, 50 people, depending on what I'm doing, all around the world, different time zones, all doing their own thing, right? Not all sitting in a Zen state. They're all doing their own thing. They're sleeping, driving, eating, hiking, working, whatever it is. And I'm connecting to them and I clear whatever it is I'm clearing in that moment. We all have the capacity to do that when we are absolutely clear ourselves and coming from the higher frequencies. That's how powerful we are. We can all do it. We are all of Jesus. We are all of Buddha. We are all of those same prophets.
Ascended masters, right?
Yeah. We're all that. We are that. We do not need to look to that. We are it. And the more we own that, the more powerful we are.
Right. That's powerful. Now, I am interested to understand a little bit more. You talk about different dimensions. What is your understanding of these dimensions as it goes from, 1, 2, 3, all the way up to 9th, 10th, and I believe you're into 12th dimensional frequencies, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, we can live in those dimensions and still in the higher dimensions and still live in this 3D world, third dimension. But what you get to experience, what you get to see is very different. It's like literally, it's like the higher the dimension that you're moving into, the less lenses you have,
Right.
literally, physically. It's like what Tiny and I get to see is unbelievable. And it's beautiful. It's beautiful. There's way more than what the 3D world shows us around us. It's a very different way of living. And when you start to experience that, there's one of two things that happen. It's like Joseph Campbell's The Hero's Journey. When you start to experience it and you're about to cross over, a lot of people run back because it is scary, because it is the unknown. It is 100,000 trillion% the unknown. And you have to be able to hold the unknown. That is extraordinary. But when you do, that's pure freedom. That is beautiful freedom. So when that is the part that it is the hardest part for people to go from the third to the fifth and beyond dimensions. But by the time you get sort of like to the 8th, 9th, 10th, from there, it's so easy. It's so easy to go beyond there. The 8th, 9th, 10th, there's another journey to cross. But then beyond there, it's just so easy. And it's just the most extraordinary things that you get to know, get to see, get to experience, get to feel.
Mm-hmm.
It's amazing.
And is that, when you say experience and feel, is that more of an etheric feeling and experience, or you're still feeling and experiencing it in the third dimension?
Still experience in the third dimension. Definitely in the third dimension. You feel it ethereally as well, but in the third dimension as well. And it allows me to say, right, approach prisons, approach hospitals, and say, I can change. I can change the dynamics here. I can change the energy and shift. I can exponentially heal. I can exponentially create calmness. I can actually exponentially create clearing, like, points of view that are keeping children in trauma from being in orphanages or feeling unloved. I can touch their energy field so that they feel their own love for just being, for being who they are. And it's those sort of things that they're completely natural to most people. That wouldn't be. For me, it's completely natural.
That's powerful. Yeah, you have got me inspired. I want to get out there and start helping more and more people as well. So honestly, just having this conversation, and I hope people that are listening to this, they feel this energy that comes through you, because it's contagious. It really is. As you start to share your information and that flow of energy comes through you, it inspires people like myself to go out and believe and take bigger steps and just become who I am meant to be and continue to go down that road. And honestly, this happened at the perfect time. I'm at this transition in my life where I'm moving. I thought I had a trajectory that I was on, and all of a sudden now that trajectory has changed, and I'm moving home, and I'm, everything that I thought I was moving towards is starting to kind of shift towards something a little bit different. And what I'm starting to do, well, what I've been doing and what I'm really leaning into is, again, taking the thinking mind out of it and just start taking actions that are aligned with the body, meditating and feeling and knowing this is what you need to be doing, even though it doesn't make any sense to me. I put out an Ascension update video today. First time I've ever done that. It was, it came to me last week. I was like, this is what I want to do. I have a Substack. I have a platform that I can put it out. I made the video this morning. Didn't edit it, didn't do anything to it. It just a stream of consciousness that I spoke out. It felt really good. I put it out there. Who knows? Maybe 2 people watch it, maybe 1,000 people watch it.
That's amazing. I'd love to watch that.
Yeah, it's just taking those steps and making those steps and trusting that as long as it aligns and it feels right in your body, and again, it's guided by the heart, the balance between the upper chakras and the lower chakras, that's what the heart truly is. It's the bridge between those two. And again, talking about finding the balance between everything, I believe when you start to take actions on the heart, from the heart, that is the true, the way forward for you. And this feels like it's from the heart, and I'm very excited to share it with the world. So
it sounds phenomenal, Joe. Really does. Really does.
Well, Judy, any last messages that you have for people who are on this journey, who are just starting to get in contact with the higher aspects of themselves?
One of the things that for me is awareness of body, right? Body, we are conditioned to believe that everything's in the mind and to follow the mind and, to logically work things out and all that. It's trust body, connect with body, speak to body, and clear any, don't buy into any of the noise that you might, any of the limiting beliefs. Don't, whatever comes up. Body will let you know. Body is your conduit to infinite being. It will let you know. We have the power when we use body, when we're connected to our infinite being, we can tell body to do anything for this trilogy of being. We can instantly decrease cortisol. Instantly. We don't need any drugs. We don't need any, we don't even need meditation, right? We can instantly tell body, reduce cortisol, right down to 0. We can tell body to heal anything, do anything, be anything. We can tell body to lose weight. We can tell body to get fit. All of those things we can do. There is nothing body cannot do when we are connected to our infinite being. Start respecting body. Body is the number one part of our physical being, not the mind. That is the servant, not the master. It's our body. And start moving on awareness. Everybody has had that experience where you've done something and you don't know why you did it, how you did it, and you question yourself, how did I know to do that? That's moving on awareness. And trust that and expect that. And ask body to guide you on that. Ask for awareness. Every morning, everyone in my world, what we do is a practice. We clear interference, we expand, we connect to infinite being, and we ask for awareness. Awareness on any question that we have, and we trust it. And every time we ask for awareness, we will get that download. We always are getting it. Just be open to receiving it. And think about it like this. Anything that comes to the mind, disregard, because that would just be interference. Energetic, it will download, and think of it like a zip file. It'll be like a zip file. Now just give it a moment, give it a minute to unzip and do its thing, and then just move and trust. Trust.
Beautiful. Well, this has been an absolutely wonderful conversation. I am fired up. I'm ready to go. So I really appreciate the time coming on the show and sharing just an incredible story and your perspective and the reality that you're creating is sometimes probably called unimaginable. And even from your perspective, it might seem unimaginable. But
yes,
you are living proof of what is possible when you start to just live your life from the awareness that is the fact that you are the infinite being experiencing itself in a very limited perspective.
Totally. I love that. Well done. That is brilliant. That is a lovely way of summing it up. Thank you for that, Joe.
You're very welcome. So thank you very much, Judy. And I hope to probably be talking to you sometime in the future, I'm sure.
That'd be amazing. I look forward to that. Thank you so much.
All right. Take care. Thank you again for listening to Changing the Channel with Joe Garner. If you enjoyed the show, please follow the podcast, hit the bell to know when a new show comes out, share with a friend, and rate us on whatever platform you're tuning in from. It helps get these messages out to more people to create the collective shift in reality we are here to experience. Make sure you interact with the Q&A and poll sections of the show so I can continue to provide content you enjoy. Finally, check out my website in the show notes to become a VIP of Changing the Channel and join the shift that is happening.